Right guys, just a quick update really. So today was the finale of my basically this month I've done 3 channel videos around laying and betting on the exchange. Sometimes it'll be a case of laying a horse and backing one, and sometimes it'll be a case of backing 3 and laying the favourite. So obviously the objective is to get the favourite beat. Now, so the first one went out on the 1st of November. It was a £30 investment, and this video is sponsored by myself. So all the investment for this sort of content that I'm doing is all out of my own pocket. That's why I always stress it's not a channel bet. I mean, if people want to follow me in, that's up to them. But it's been more for the content really, just to give people another idea of the way that they choose to gamble. Now I know there's a lot more interesting if you put 4 selections up to win and if you get a nice return, but in the long term I think you'll struggle to find a sustainable way of doing it. So if you look at my channel for example this week, I wouldn't have discounted any of the selections that I put up. I fancied them all, or I wouldn't put them up on the channel. Looking at the form, doing all my research, picking the ones out that I fancy, and still I've had nothing returned this week on the channel. I know we have in other weeks, but we're not going to talk about. Basically, the channel bets are always based on what we've took and what we've lost. This week for the channel bets, unless we get any returns today, it's going to be a negative week, and I'll probably only have a little interest for tomorrow, just because there's some that I've picked out and I think, well, if I leave them on a piece of paper and they all come in, I'll be gutted I've not given them out. So they'll be going up tomorrow. The one thing I would say is obviously all the talks around the big race at Newcastle. Now I'm hoping from a lane and backing perspective, I'm hoping to try and get the new lion laid if I can, for a price where I can then have a go on one of the outsiders. Now if Nicky Henderson's got Constitution Hill ready, then if it runs at its best, we all know that it's by far the classiest horse in the race. But it's all ifs and buts. So I do believe that he's probably got the strongest chance of winning, if it's as good as Nicky said it is. He seems to think it's ready. So Constitution Hill at 6-4. It's not something that I'd want to take personally as a single, but I think it still shows value. So I don't think the new lion. I just don't think it's the right distance for it. So I'll be looking to take that one on with something on the exchanges if I can get the new lion laid for a price where there'll be an element of risk on it, and that's what I've tried not to do too much with the selections I've made for my lane and backing, because I can lay and back throughout the day, and sometimes what I'll look at is God, why is the rain so loud now? One thing I'll look at is whether the sorry. I'm not starting again. Well, remember, on a side note, I'm in Nottingham, so I don't know what the weather's doing in Doncaster, so keep an eye on that for today. Anyway, so yeah, basically, I've lost my train of thought completely now, but I'm not stopping. I'm just going to do it because it's going to be a load of waffle otherwise. But yeah, I'll be looking at taking on the new lion tomorrow. Not so much the Constitutional Hill. If Constitutional Hill come in crazy to like 1/4, then I'll take it on. But at 6-4, I think it's about the right price. So for me, it's not really a race that I want to bet in. I'd probably try and do is lay New Lion, and see if I could have got a bit of money there to have a go on one of the others that I fancy. But it won't be Constitutional Hill. If that wins, I'll just let it run, and hopefully the lay covers the rest of my bets. So that's what I look to do, is basically to cover myself in the race, and have a go at one that I fancy. Now, sometimes throughout the week, as you're looking at the exchange, there's a lot of movement on it, so you get a lot of drifting, a lot of market movers, which can be a sign of a good horse. But sometimes what you have to remember is, especially in the handicaps, we found that using this, that the handicap racers have been the most successful for the lane and backing when you've got a short bright favourite, because the handicapper's job is to try and make all the horses equal. That's the whole point of a handicap. Now, it just goes to show that when we've looked at doing it in like novice stakes, where you have big big trainers turning up and taking all the glory, then it's just not worked. But in the handicaps, it's definitely proven more successful. So I would bear that in mind. That when you're going forward, if you're looking at a race on the exchange, and you've had the first, say the favourite's been pulled out and the second favourite's been pulled out, so now you're left with the third favourite. Now that might become an odds-on favourite to win the race. But you've got to remember that, say there was only 2 decent horses in that race, and the rest of them was just a bunch of, well, you don't know what they're going to do, then that's what I call an unnatural favourite. So it's not a favourite by being put on the market, forecasted as a favourite, it's going to win. So them horses that are sort of like false favourites, let's call them, if it's a false favourite, you're more likely to get a return on it than you are if it went out at evens, it's drifted into 8 to 11, then it drifted in some more. Now, the one for today was one that there's only 4 horses in the race. So I watched all the runs back, and I thought, don't get me wrong, the horse that we laid and lost today, so we won, it will come back from that. But Sam Thomas is a very shrewd trainer, and I genuinely think that he sent it to Doncaster, as he only sent 1 horse here today because he's at Newbury, and I do fancy one that he's got running tomorrow. But anyway, I'm starting to waffle again, aren't I? So yeah, I maybe need to structure these videos. I just thought I'd do it quickly on a video, and this is what ends up happening, I waffle. But on the 1st of November, let's go back then. 1st November, £30 staked, returned £40 and 17 pence. On the 17th of November video, we staked £20, which returned £31 10 pence. So that's where today, on the 28th of November, I had my return. I had £20 for this sequence of £20 profit, basically, to put on the third go. So I've put all the profit I've made. Obviously, I've not put in the stakes because that's gone back into my personal investment pot for the channel. But the £20 profit, bar the, well, let's say for arguments, so there's £1.27 that I might have made for doing this challenge. And today was the riskiest one. So this is where I said in the video today, risk has got to be worth the reward. So I put the £20 profit. If we lost today, then we break even. So we've not lost anything, and we've had 3 goes at it now over a number of races. So you've got to think how many races that we're taking into account. Some people put 20 quid on one race and it's lost. So you're giving yourself that opportunity. So today we put £20 onto the exchange, we laid the favourite, and then I actually backed 2 horses in a 4-runner race. So put that into perspective. So I'd put myself into a position with that £20, I basically only needed 1 horse other than the favourite to win. So in a 4-horse race, I needed 1 to beat the favourite, and we wasn't going to lose anything today, we still would have got a return. Obviously, by the way I'd staggered it, the one I favoured most was the one that had run the distance, course and distance, all that jive. So it's the one I personally fancied, and I thought, I don't know how last night it was probably fourth on the card to have come in, because it was the only one that's really done it proven. So, and it proved today. I mean, it ran its own race, it went out at the front. You think, oh, I've seen these get beat, but it just controlled, ran at its own speed, or it never had to go crazy at the end. But definitely watch the race back at Doncaster today, and you'll see the same thing that I saw in the favourite when I looked at his last two wins. Yes, it won, but it's still young. It looked roper. Some of its jumps, I thought, well, that could have brought the jockey down. Today it had an apprentice jockey on it. One thing I did look at last night as well, if you look at the four, see, this is all the things that I probably haven't got time the night before to tell you, because I'm looking at all this, but look at the four jockeys in that race. So go on to the race, and the 11:55 at Doncaster. Sorry. Look at the four jockeys. Look at the amount of races that each of them four jockeys have raced. The one that won, by far the most experienced jockey, and had the best connection with that stable. Now, don't get me wrong, the one on the favourite has done well with Sam Thomas, but I think he's only run 8 races, so he's still learning. And don't get me wrong, he might become a very good jockey, but at this point in time, he's still learning. So I also then looked at, when I picked this one out last night, I then looked at whether what the owner, especially for the younger ones, what the owner's sort of returns are. And again, it was a mixed bag. Of the favourite had, obviously, because it's Sam Thompson, they're all pretty much through the same ownership, so a lot of his are run under one brand, so that was a massive standout. That's a massive return for that owner. But if you looked at the one that we backed, was probably the second best. Well, it was the second best, I know it was. So we had the most experienced jockey, a price that we can get a return on, and we only had to beat 1 out of 4 horses. I mean, I can't stress enough how good the exchange is for using. If you use it in the right way, you can basically, I mean, what I do personally is that if there's one that I fancy, I look at if I can get the favourite beat. If it's a short price, I'll lay it. Sometimes, if it's a well handicapped race where the prices start at 5, there's no way on earth you're going to be laying something at 5. You've got to be looking at laying something at. For me, it's always a maximum of evens. So if I want to lay something for a £5 to win a £5, then I'm happy to do that. But then I'll invest £5 in the one that I think is going to beat it, or invest it in 2 more that I think will beat it. So if you can't make up your mind, that's where the exchange is great, because you can take a few horses against the favourite. You can still have a bit of, don't get me wrong, the returns aren't going to be like you've backed a 16 to 1 winner, because if you're taking 2, then you're half in the obviously if you took 2 horses at 16s, then you're only really playing at 8s. So you do have to remember that. But on the exchange, you'll find a horse that's 16 to 1 on the bookmakers. It's going to be close to 30s anyway. So if you can watch them prices develop throughout the day, and even in a race, if there's one that you fancy and it goes off, especially on the longer distances for the hurdles, in race, if it's over like 3 mile and you really fancied it at the start of the day and it's right at the back, still jumping but right at the back over a 3 mile distance, then the price on the exchange, you might get 2 points change. So you can go back in then and take a horse that you fancied at say 4 to 1 and you're taking it then at 6 to 1. So you're forever giving yourself that edge. And if you do that constantly, and it's something that we speak about a lot, if you do that constantly, you're going to build up a nice buffer on the winners, and it will outweigh taking the short price favourites. So yeah, that's it. This has gone way too long, 15 minutes just to give you an update. But I think for the backing and laying, I think it's something that if I've got one that I really fancy, that I can put out early. The problem with it, like I say, the exchange developed over the day, so you have to be quite confident the night before to have picked the one that you want to lay. I think personally, on a personal note, because the odds are true. You've seen it, that there's no, it's not been backed in because loads of money's gone on it. The odds are the odds, and you're going to beat that favourite at them odds. So yeah, that's it from me, guys, and I hope you all have a good day, and I'm going to try and not get too wet. Right, catch you all in a bit. Bye.